What is going on, guys? The Inside the Blue podcast, and today we have another mock draft. Of course, covering the New York Giants only. If you guys are new to these mock drafts, a lot has happened. We have drafted a quarterback. We have drafted offensive line. We have not drafted a wide receiver yet at pick 6, but definitely start at number 1 at the mock drafts and then come up to, I believe this is episode 8, 7 or 8 now, of these mock drafts. They do really well on this channel. You guys really enjoy them. And for the New York Giants, I've said this time and time again, this is the biggest draft in recent history. They need to do well in this draft. They need to, because if they don't do well in this draft, then it really puts them back even more years than Dave Gettleman already did. Because Dallas, they have a lot of unrestricted free agents. The Eagles, we don't know what's going to happen with them. They have new coordinators again. Of course, Nick Sirianni is still going to be their head coach. Mike McCarthy is still for Dallas. So, those two football teams are still going to be really good. And, Commanders are in a full rebuild. New head coach, new everything. But yeah, I think the Giants right now are the third best team in the NFC East. I think they're still behind Dallas and still behind the Eagles in terms of talent. But there's a lot of talent in this draft, right? If you look at number 6. If Jaden Daniels is at 6, there's a good chance I can see the Giants drafting him over offensive line. And I even think if Malik Nabers is there at 6, I think he's going to go to the New York Giants as well. I think the Giants are just still invested in Evan Neal for their right tackle. Of course, they have a new offensive line coach. Maybe that helps out Evan Neal's development and turns him into a decent tackle in this league. But he also, we don't know the future with Evan Neal, because if he has another stinker, I don't expect him to be back on this New York football Giants team after next year. Because he has not really shown much improvement. There was slight improvement, I'll say that, but not nearly enough where he was valued and drafted by. But let's get right into it. Of course, the computers are drafting. I'm drafting for the New York Giants. So if there's any confusion why maybe Brock Bowers goes to the Patriots or the Cardinals select someone else besides Marvin Harrison Jr. and they go like a cornerback, that's why. But let's start this thing off. And this is kind of the draft this is probably the most realistic draft except for Malik Nabers going 3. Because there is a quarterback on the board, which is Jaden Daniels. But there were some good selections here for the New York Giants because they have some options. They can go Rome Odunze. He's been getting, a lot of hype. I think he's a really good wide receiver in this league, and I think he could be good for the New York Giants. Right? I think he, played good enough where I would not mind taking him at pick 6 overall. With Joe Alt and Vashano, of course, being on the board, I don't know if I see the Giants taking them because of the fact that they're still invested in Evan Neal. If you draft Joe Alt or Vashano, does that mean we're no longer investing Evan Neal as our right tackle of the future? Probably. That'd probably be more of a right guard situation. And I don't hate that idea, but I think for this draft, I think Rome Odunze is a stud. Personally, I think he's a really good player. I think he's one of the best in the class, and I do not oppose going Rome Odunze here at all. I think he's a really good wide receiver, and as much as the Giants need offensive line and how bad it was, I think this offensive line coach can turn it around. I really do. I think coaching really matters in this league. We saw it with the development of Andrew Thomas. Offensive line coach helped them. Maybe this is for Evan Neal, but we're going to go Rome Odunze at pick number 6. A really good wide receiver, and the Giants need wide receiver help, in my opinion. I don't think they're nearly good enough at that position. So I think going him at that position is key. A lot of good options here, I feel like. I like Kalen King from Penn State. I think he's not bad. I've seen good stuff from him. These stats don't look particularly amazing. But I do like Byron Murphy a lot. That's probably be my selection, to be totally honest. Giants need run stoppers, man. And Byron Murphy is a run stopper. That guy is a damn beast. I think I've taken him in almost every mock draft, and it's because he's just a really good player. He's jumped up my board. He has jumped up my board because he's just such a good player. I mean, we look at the numbers: 91 PFF grade. The guy gets to the quarterback. He's really good. I mean, he had 6 sacks on the defensive line. You know, him and Dexter Lawrence would be an unreal duo. Those two together would be probably one of the best, run stoppers and just defensive line in general. I mean, if they can snag him in the second round early, I don't know if he's going to be there personally. He could be a first-round pick. But as we look at the draft as well, Bo Nix going to the New England Patriots. A few corners go off the board. Let's just see. Let's just see where some of these guys go. Vitanu went to the Baltimore Ravens. Wonder if they're going to win the Super Bowl. Maybe they're not. Definitely check out that video as well. Kool-Aid McKinstry going to the Dallas Cowboys. That's a good pick for them, man. That would be a very scary duo. I'm not sure if Stephon Gilmore is under contract. I don't believe he is, but still, Trayvon Diggs and Kool-Aid McKinstry would be a elite duo. We look at the board as well. Jared Verse, Latu, Brian Thomas Jr. goes to the Jaguars. Interesting there. Jaden Daniels heading to Minnesota. I think that would be a really solid pick if Jaden Daniels went to the Minnesota Vikings with him and Jefferson and Addison. That'd be an amazing trio. Of course, Joe Alt goes ahead of after us. That's definitely expected, and all that stuff. But I think another thing that I've been noticing is Rashawn has been dropping down the board. You know, I think we've taken him at 6 a few times, but not this time. All right, so we have a chance at taking a QB if we wanted to go. Michael Penix Jr. Do we think he is the pick? Probably not, in my opinion. After seeing what he did against Michigan and these defenses, he's injury prone. I don't know if he's going to last. I think he's got an elite arm, though, when healthy, but he suffered a shoulder injury. I think he suffered 2 ACL injuries, so it's a big risk. Does it say his age? I think he's coming in on 24, something like that, but he's a really good player, and I think he could be a good player for the New York Giants if Joe Schoen wants to go the route. I believe he did do a little bit of a scout on Michael Penix Jr. He's done one on Caleb Williams. I'm most definitely sure he has done one on Jaden Daniels and all those top QBs, but nonetheless, we're going to take Byron Murphy with this pick. I think it's a pretty easy decision to go there. And we go around go around again. Got some options here. Kalen King, of course, still there. Tyler Gooten still there. Of course, his team does need offensive line. I did not forget about it. Don't you guys worry, because we take a wide receiver and a, what do you call it? What else do we take? A run stopper, but going to go quick with this one. I'm going to go take Patrick Paul out of Houston. So that's gonna be our tackle, because they're gonna take a tackle, whether you like it or not. They're gonna take a tackle. Now I don't know when that's gonna exactly be. So we got some more players jumping up the board and stuff. Christian Haynes from Connecticut. He doesn't look terrible. I wouldn't be opposed to drafting back-to-back offensive lines. Do really like Peyton Wilson, though, man. I think this guy's a really good player. You know, you look at the stats. He doubled his tackles. You know, he missed the same amount of tackles, had a few assisted tackles, played in one more game, and it looks like he plays everywhere for what I'm reading. Looks like he's played the box mostly. It looks like he has played the defensive line and the slot. So, I mean, this guy plays everywhere, and I think that. Now, do I think they're probably going to take him in real life? Probably not, because they have Okereke, they have McFadden, so I don't know if they would really go here, and I mean, if they draft Peyton Wilson, then what's the future with Isaiah Simmons? I want the Giants to retain Isaiah Simmons. I think he's a really good player. I think the Cardinals just didn't see it in them, and I think if the Giants hire the right defensive coordinators, I think they could be, you know, really good. Now, with this pick, there's definitely some options, right? They can go Brendan Rice if they really wanted to. Do I think they're going to go Brendan Rice? Probably not, since they already took Odunze. Well, we took Odunze. They can go Kinsley if they wanted to. You know, they can go a few guys here. I mean, even they can go running back. You know, they could do a lot of stuff. They could take the safety out of Georgia. I mean, there's so many options that they can go. It's just a fact on who do they think is the best value at pick 70. Now, I think with what I'm looking at it, Peyton Wilson's the easy pick. There's obviously a bunch of other guys. I mean, there's Jalen McMillan, guy from Washington. You know, there are some options for sure, but you know, they can go Rook on the defensive line, pairing him up with Dexter Lawrence and Byron Murphy. That would be insane, but I don't think they're exactly going to do that. But yeah, definitely. I think the right pick here is Peyton Wilson. Just think he's a stud at North Carolina State. I think he's done a lot of good things there, and I think that's really just the guy that I have my eyes on. You know, he has almost a 90 PFF grade. This guy gets tackles. He plays everywhere. I think that's going to be the pick for us. So that'll do it for the Giants. Of course, we can only pick 3 rounds since we are not subscribed yet to the PFF. I don't know if I will end up subscribing. I may not, but let's check out this draft. See where I felt maybe I could have went. See what the other teams went. So this was our draft. Took Rome Odunze, a really good wide receiver. Now, could they have taken Jaden Daniels? Yes, but I wanted to switch it up. Take Rome Odunze, a really good wide receiver. Probably my number 3 on my wide receiver. Marvin Harrison 1, Malik Neighbors 2, Rome Odunze right there at number 3. Byron Murphy, I think this guy could do really good things for us on the defensive line, because this team needs help stopping the run for sure. They're not a good team against the run. That's why teams run all over us and they beat us to the ground. But you know, Patrick Paul had to take some sort of tackle. Well, so I know I'd see in the comments below, why didn't you not take a tackle? What are you doing? You know, because offensive line is definitely bad, right? We all know that, because they stink. But the Peyton Wilson pick, just get some depth, you know, get some depth at the linebacker position in case Bobby Okereke somehow goes down or Micah McFadden. Plug in Peyton Wilson or Isaiah Simmons, whatever. Because, you know, I gotta say though, for Bobby Okereke, I am proud of him and McKinney playing every single snap. That's hard to do. That's really hard to do. So I give props to those 2 guys. Give props to Dexter Lawrence for having another good year. You know, good on Kayvon Thibodeau having a bounce back year, having 11.5 sacks, something like that. Now, speaking of Kayvon Thibodeau, the one thing I do want to see from him is win more of his battles. You know, he was definitely inconsistent in that. I think he was ranked 71st out of 78th in pass rush win rate. So definitely would like to get that, you know, maybe the mid-30s, 20s, something on those lines. But I think Kayvon Thibodeau's got a good future. I think this defense has a good future. I think this offense has a good future if they draft well. You know, do they want to stick with Daniel Jones? Do they want to go Jaden Daniels? I think for the draft purposes, if they can avoid the New England Patriots, they will most definitely have Jaden Daniels right up their alley, because I don't think the Cardinals are going to take him. I think they're sticking with Kyler Murray. I don't think obviously the Chargers are going to take him because they have Justin Herbert, who's a top 10 QB in this league. But I think the Giants do need a new QB for sure. I don't think Daniel Jones is a long-term answer. I think the front office hesitated, and we're kind of I don't know if I say forced to give Daniel Jones $40 million, but that's what their party wanted, and Joe Schoen decided to take the offer and say okay. But Joe Schoen also only made it practically a 2-year deal, even though it was a 4-year deal, because they can cut him after year 2, which I think is pretty likely. But I don't think the QB class in 2025 is nearly as strong as this one, having Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, all those stud QBs. But let's look at the first round. Let's kind of analyze that. So Caleb Williams, Drake May, Malik Neighbors. I think there's nothing wrong with that. Now, do I think the Patriots should go Malik Neighbors? Maybe. He's a really good player. I think I can make an argument personally that I would rather have Malik Neighbors just because of that run after catch. Not like Marvin Harrison's on an elite prospect, but Brock Bowers to the Chargers. Don't hate that pick. Rome Odunze, we took him. Love that pick, in my opinion. I think that's where they will go. I don't think they're going to take offensive line at 6. I really don't. I'm putting probably a good amount of money that they don't take offensive line there. And they go wide receiver. Because I feel like offensive line is not that hard to build around. And if you have an average offensive line, you're golden. But if you don't have a wide receiver one, you don't have a nearly good, elite, functional offense. That's just my opinion. But I know a lot of people are going to say, but then this team, allowed most sacks in the league and broke a record because they stunk. I'm like, okay. Calm down, Frank. Calm down. Calm down, little Jimmy. We'll be okay. But, you can see the rest of the board, of course. A lot of Alabama players. But yeah, I think this was a pretty good draft overall. Of course, we'll go back to it if you want to say. Rome Odunze at 6, 39th. We took Byron Murphy the 2nd, Patrick Paul, and then Peyton Wilson. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for the mock draft. Of course, definitely hit that subscribe button. We're 13 subscribers away from 100, and I appreciate all of you guys for liking the content, supporting the channel, all that da-da-da-da-da. Don't forget to follow us on TikTok at the Inside the Boot Podcast. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at the Inside the Boot Podcast. And, of course, hit the subscribe button as always. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this mock draft. I appreciate all of you guys. Stay safe out there, and let's go Giants.